guys, it's time for this month's So You Like, my monthly recommendation series where I take a piece of media that I've enjoyed in the past month or so, spin it out a little bit, and then recommend you some things that you might enjoy if you, like me, enjoyed it. This month's piece of media is the original Jumanji film, which I just watched fully through for the first time recently. I had seen basically all of it, and I knew basically the story, and I'd seen the newer ones, but I hadn't actually seen the original all the way through. So I now have. Jumanji as a film is really interesting because it sort of goes with the sort of isekai premise that is popular in Japan of a person going into another world and then coming back. Except it plays it for horror, so that's quite interesting to sort of play around with. It's got the whole going into a game, that is a strong thing, and the fact is that it's got sort of jungle theming and setting involved very heavily in it, and basically, yeah, no, it's also of the 90s, which means that it has some very good, strong animatronic work in it, but some slightly weaker CGI that does kind of, compared to nowadays, there's a lot stronger CGI, shall we say. The first thing that I want to recommend to you based on Jumanji is Forbidden Island. Now, this game is not like Jumanji in that it doesn't suck people in, it doesn't particularly give weird wonderful challenges. It's a bit more of a complicated game than the one in the universe of Jumanji, but it's a really nice sort of game involving jungle theming, and that's and sort of doing exploring and stuff like that. That's the main sort of draw here. The second thing I want to recommend to you based on Jumanji is Die, which is a comic book / graphic novel by Kieran Gillen, and it's really, really good, but basically, he's described it as goth Jumanji before. The premise is that these 6 kids get sucked into a game in the 90s, and then 2 years later, all but one of them emerge, having been changed. The game in question is an RPG, and they become their characters. Now that's a lot like the Jumanji sort of trademarks that we've got going on, and well, yeah, it basically is goth Jumanji, but with RPGs instead of board games. It's got a lot of similar themes to them, but it's also very much for adults rather than for maybe the intended audience of Jumanji itself. But I think that it's certainly a worthy recommendation. I enjoyed it a lot, but also there are a couple of weak issues towards the start. The third thing that I want to recommend to you based on Jumanji is Digimon Tamers. Now, this is the 3rd season of the original Digimon anime. This was the one where they decided to go for an entirely different Digimon universe, and it paid off really well. It's very, very good. I highly recommend it. It takes the sort of isekai Digimon-y premise and plays around with it in the same way that sort of Jumanji plays around with some of these things. It does some things involving actual consequences for the characters in some ways, which, you know, that's basically what Jumanji does to begin with. And there's all sorts of other really interesting things that it sort of goes with similar themes about Jumanji. So, yes. Now, the final thing that I want to recommend to you based on Jumanji is Jurassic Park, the original film. From the 90s, they're of a similar age. I think Jumanji came a couple of years afterwards, and they both have similar, they're just of a similar vibe, to be honest, because, yeah, they are. They're just inextricably linked in my brain, certainly, because 1, they're both 90s films, 2, they are very much, like, animatronic, with CGI splattered in as and when it fits. I think that the CGI in Jurassic Park is slightly better, maybe? Who can say? And, like, you know, they are sort of dated in a way that works pretty well. And there's themes in common, so it just really works. So those are my recommendations for you based on Jumanji. I'd love to know what you think of them, so tell me in the comments down below. I think they're pretty good, so down there, tell me. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you remember to like and share it and subscribe to my channel. Click on the thumbnails over there to see other videos by me, click on the link in the description to join my Discord, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!